Call this meeting to order. Hubbardston Cultural Council. It is now 7:18. Tuesday, November 21st, 2024. This is our round 2 of our voting session.
3.
Sorry?
Is it
Round
3?
3.
Round 3. And the agenda says round 2 because we... Second session of voting. How about that?
Sounds good.
The wording is a little off because of that extra round we did last time. Overachievers. Attendees: Jonathan Bringer, Laura Foley, Connie Strittmatter, Zoe Morse, and Joe Moisen. First item of business is to approve the November 4th meeting minutes. Not November 4th.
12.
November 12th. I have this so wrong on this. Don't know what complaints. Does anybody need a minute to review the minutes from last meeting? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'm sorry.
What? Oh, I've read them, but Zoe just shook her head.
No, I don't need to read
okay.
them. It's okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a third? Done. All right. Moving on. Grant updates.
We just got the invoice for Ed the Wizard. So I will submit that to the town accountant tomorrow. So the only outstanding invoice is from Flo for the Halloween parade.
Yes.
So if we can get that submitted, that would be great. Then we can kind of close out this year's books.
You want me to reach out to her? Okay.
Yes, please.
And that we are in the clear then.
And we're good. Yeah, we're
Fantastic.
carrying over Jeannie Ballooney for like $250 or so, and then we have a little bit of extra change from the science event. The science she submitted her receipts, which
Okay.
was less than what we had allotted her for, so there'll be some leftover money next year. So
Okay. Communications support. Anything from communications?
No.
Anything additional for treasurer?
that would be the treasurer of the board.
Yep. Chair's report. Do we need to? Would we like to review the LCC program guideline book? No. Okay. Do we want to review the local council priorities before we start voting?
No.
That's the. This guy here. The 3 cores, and there's a bunch of auxiliaries after them. Are we good with that?
Yes.
The basis for our decision making. Right? I'm going to add on to mine. I've been in contact with the state actually, when we get to that particular application, we'll talk about that. And the rest we'll cover at the end with the next steps for the grant cycle. So I guess we'll dive right in. Okay, sorry.
Can we do one thing quickly?
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
because the spreadsheet's not right.
Okay.
Like the numbers in the fund column.
Let me see if I can
aren't perfect.
undo.
I tried restoring and it's not restoring to November 12th.
Yeah, let me see if I can undo what I did here.
Okay.
Check it now. The screen just flashed when they hit Control Z.
No, because it says second round. Let's see.
Second round, first row is row 2, $0 with a no. And that's
Right.
for ID 93874.
Yeah, but if you're looking at like songs of yesteryear, the request is 150, line 5, and the amount funded is 660. Does anybody have their spreadsheet of what we were funding for different things?
This one?
You have so we don't have the numbers on it, do you?
I thought that column on the left was the numbers. Right?
It is, but it's not consistent.
It's not correct.
No, because if you look at line 5,
Yep.
it says songs of yesteryear, the amount requested is 150 and the amount funded is 600. Which is not correct. Okay, but I think Laura has it. So I think I can.
Yeah, I see that.
So I can kind of, let me just go through. No.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Can you show me how you pulled up that version before?
Which version? Well, I tried to go back to the
Okay.
version history,
Yeah.
and I tried to click on November 12th
That's
at
under
8:56 p.m.
data, or where do you find that?
It is. I go to. So if you go to the clock, like to the to the top of the screen where it has your profile.
Yep.
You see the clock seconds ago.
Yes, I see that. Yeah. Click
And
on
then you
that.
go to all versions,
Yep.
and then if you scroll down,
I have a November 12th.
we'd like to get back to the November 12th
Yep.
at 8:56. So when I click on it though, and say restore this version,
Restore this version. Yep. And your
restore.
current version will be reverted to the original of the 12th.
that is,
I said yes. Uh-oh. I didn't do anything.
it's okay.
Oh, hold on. I think we're good. Restore. Do we have the dollar amounts in the notes from last?
She has, yeah, they're here. I'm trying to just.
Okay, I can see the version data. We do that.
Okay, so the New England Sax wind is a no. So that's 0, that's fine. Build a flag is a no. I just don't want to lose all the numbers. The numbers total up correctly, it's just they're in the wrong spot.
I'm sorry.
Luckily, we've got a paper trail, so I wouldn't worry
Right.
about it.
I'm just gonna make a copy so we have the original. I'm just gonna work on a paper.
That's why you never let your boss touch your stuff. Right.
I don't know, my boss has moved my desk 3 times to the office. And I've only been to one of the desks.
Like, I click on the version, I see everything there with the correct dollar amounts.
You do?
Yeah, but when I click restore, to your point, nothing happens. And I can't highlight the cells. Clear my cache, maybe I'll get it back.
Clear path.
So yeah, we can.
Build a flag
Yeah.
would be a 0. Right. 104. 278. 0. 104 is 150. No. Why does it say yes? Cranberry?
Yeah, that was a,
Cranberry.
What's the
I
rest
have,
stop?
I have a no there. No, that's
Yes.
not the. But I have a yes on my form.
oh, Johnny Appleseed.
What do you guys have for cranberry?
Which one?
Cranberry?
I had that as a no.
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 Even Clear Path for veterans, I think we said no.
Right. So cranberry was a no.
So is it just one column that got resorted somehow? That's all.
I don't know.
I sorted by the.
I have dollar amounts here on my sheet. I could go
Okay.
through them real quick if you
So
want.
yes,
Tell me.
88792.
88792. I have that as $700.
101266.
As $660.
100622,
is $300.
100129,
As $2,000.
100852.
00.
Should be a 0, I think.
That's a 0. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, I had that as a no.
yeah. 95764.
I still have that as a question mark. I don't know if we settled on how much to give to Henry the Juggler. I know he asked for $450, but I just have a question mark there. I don't think we actually settled on a dollar amount last.
Yeah.
Laura has 450, so I'm gonna put 450 in just so we have it.
Right. That's
Okay.
kind of what.
So Connie, I can make a copy of your original version.
I'm doing. I
Oh, you're doing that?
I already
Okay, cool.
made a copy.
You're on that. All right. cool.
100985.
I have as nothing.
Okay. 87150.
Is nothing.
95794.
180.
180.
Yep.
94663.
500.
102640.
450.
133. Oh, sorry. 100171.
That I don't.
I think I put in the full amount for 1335.
Yeah.
Amount requirement.
I think that's what we said. 1335.
Yes, but there's something missing on here because we had a $1,600 one. We had the $1,800 one for the
Blues Brothers,
Oh yeah, it's good on here.
right?
100171.
That's
That
the
was Jennifer Powell.
outdoor
Yeah.
sculpture, right? Yeah.
That was 1335.
96256.
0. That's a no.
That was a no. Yeah, 0. Then 93264 was also 0.
90687.
I have as 250.
97239. 1600, right?
That's 1800.
1800. Yeah.
102573.
No.
Yep. Yeah. No, sorry. Don't say it.
88158.
$100.
93975.
I have as no. And the same thing with 99951.
No. And you had a budget for 6573.
Yes, I did. Let me just get rid of this column. There's count listed twice. Okay. Okay, I feel good. Okay, we're back to 8875, which is our full, what we've allocated so far. We have 6523. So we need to
6523?
Yeah.
65.
70.
6573.
sorry.
73, yeah. So the copy of application 25 is the new one, correct? With the updated numbers.
Yep. It says
And I'm not going to touch it.
2302. So we have to cut 2302 from what we have allocated to date.
So all of that means that this is something we should no longer refer to?
Yes, we
All
can. I wouldn't say burn it because we're in a critical mode right now with campfires. So shred it at home, or trash. Sorry. All right.
What's that?
I'm just looking to see what flavor you have.
Oh, it is blueberry lemonade.
Sweet.
I have cherry lemonade. So.
Did you get to read the emails?
Was it just the one that went out to Nancy Afonso?
Yes.
And there was another one, but it didn't. Was there an answer?
There was no others
Or was there a
so there was
question?
one other that didn't answer as well. It's in the file.
Right, so this is Cheyenne is from the Mass Cultural Council. and
Cheyenne
then-
is from the Mass Cultural Council. That's in relation to the other one we'll get to. The question that I asked about, this is the artwork on town grounds. The email behind you is the one we sent
It
to...
was sent to Nancy Afonso.
Correct.
She did not reply.
So there's a lot of discussion about that. I have lots of information. We will make a decision on that and not feel rushed or...
On the statute, you mean?
Yes. There's some fuzziness we'll still need to go through, but we should definitely be able to, as cultural council, make a decision tonight on that. So we want to go on the list. We want to jump right to that. What do you guys want to do?
Let's go on the list.
All right. So this round, we're going to focus on not just local priorities, but also dollar amounts, because we got to put that square peg into a round hole as we look at it, right? I guess we'll start with Dennis Cormier. Songs of Yesteryear, right?
Right.
You want me to put a third column in on that, or you want
I'll do
to?
it, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to touch that.
Stay out.
I am so
burn,
nervous now.
twice shy.
It's like burn on my part, right? You guys are in revolt against me here.
No, none of us wants the job.
Amen.
I tell you,
You're doing a great job, Jonathan.
in the last 2 days, I've learned more about government than I've learned in the last 20 years I've been here. So
Did you go to the town meeting on Tuesday?
I did, yes. Yeah, but I learned what a charge is and how it executes, and yeah, that we'll talk about as well. So, Dennis Cormier, Songs of Yesteryear, that's still a yes, correct?
Yeah.
And given the dollar amount, I don't think we need to do anything with that. The dollar amount is reasonable for what he'll be presenting or doing, right?
Yep. Alright, so that's a yes, right?
That's a yes,
So,
yeah.
so approve, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the dollar amount unchanged. Nancy?
So how do we rule on her?
On Nancy?
Because we emailed her for more information and she did not reply by the deadline.
So
So
this is...
do we automatically move her into the I don't want to call it a danger zone, but for lack of
If you
a
want
better
to
term,
present a motion to do that, we can. We can also discuss, as it is without those answers, does it change our, does it kick it down on the prioritization, right?
Well, we cannot assume anything about programming at the senior center. We have to go completely by what is in the application.
Correct, because they did not answer our question.
Right. So judging
questions, yeah.
completely by the application, we don't have anything to understand what time of day it would be held.
therefore whether or not it would be available to, quote, adults of all ages.
Correct. And I think that's the question, is do we want to be available to others other than the seniors? Right. They do it during the day. You're not going to get family members
Right. If
and others.
it's before 4 or 5 o'clock, you're
Correct.
not going to
Even
see.
5 o'clock for me is tough. Right?
Yeah.
So, revitalization of the Hubbardston artisans community. Does not primarily serve school children.
I would say that aside from Songs of Yesteryear, I don't necessarily see anything else on this list that would be dedicated towards seniors, given if it's not for
Right.
people of all ages. There's nothing else on this list that is senior oriented, and there's several like children's stuff on here.
Right.
So I
And
would
close to half
talk
the
about that.
town is...
So I just
Yep.
talked about that as far as like, if we're gonna spread this out more evenly. So.
Right.
And you have it in at 700.
Yes, we already knocked it down from 1,300 to 700.
We said, 3 months out of the 5 or 2 months out of the 5, basically, plus the 300 for...
The administrative fee or
For,
whatever.
no,
the
for the...
art show.
Oh, art
So the
yeah,
show,
yeah, sorry.
even though we asked the question, what is that? What does it comprise of?
Right. But I think if we give them $700, it's at their discretion. They could take that
Yes.
$700 and choose to do all art, you know, and
They could
go to
have
the show
one
or,
class
or,
per month
or,
for
Yep.
more months.
or cut down the show,
Yeah.
or, you know.
And well, there are a couple other applications we're going to have to ask that same question of we're going to give them a certain amount of money, and we feel it will be appropriate or not appropriate them to be able to do something with it.
I'm really stuck on the fact we haven't heard back from her. I would like to keep the application open because I'm rereading the application and they're promoting the art classes in the senior newsletter, town website, and with flyers. And in my reading of the senior newsletter, it is very focused on the seniors in town, and they seem to not include a lot of town-wide activities. So I don't want to make an assumption based on what I know about the senior center. I would like more information, but I do understand that that means that we would have to meet again if we agree that we like the idea, but we need more information about it.
I guess I'm okay going forward, even if it is just focused on seniors, is would be my perspective.
Yeah, and I second your notion there of given we want to, for the entire age range within town, Only Songs of Yesteryear is the only one right now, to Connie's point, that would target that audience. We're not going to, every activity is not going to target every single age group, right? Some of the stuff at the field day is, for instance, the science stuff is tailored specifically for the children, even though it's a family event. Right?
It's not that I don't think that this is going to be, that this is only for the seniors, it's that they are, it says adults of all ages, but it's not saying what time they meet. And by having something during the day, which is when most of the senior center programming occurs,
Right.
then they would exclude the audience that they're telling us that they are going to include.
Mhm.
If they just said, this is for the senior center, or the seniors, I'd say, oh, okay, now I understand the audience. But
Okay.
by including an entire audience and then the potential of excluding them because of the scheduling time, that's the hang up I have.
Okay. The other thing is we can pass it with the expectation that it is geared for all ages and let them figure that out. That means also we will have to watch and monitor and make sure that, you know, that they understand that and that it does happen.
But we are not the money police. We give them the grant and then they
Correct.
do their programming.
Yep.
But we can, the only thing that we can act on a year later, if this comes back, is whatever the past history of it was from now until next grant cycle.
What we can do is we can observe, right? We're always welcome to attend these events and observe, and then per our local policies, there's actually an item in there for next year, right? We can consider that as, you know, was the venue proper, did it, you know, all those policies that we do consider, right? So we not take action for this year, but we be considered for next year if they do come up again, right? So
Yes.
yeah. So you have a notion
Motion.
to postpone for another meeting, or?
I feel we don't have enough information to approve this. And was the only outreach via email? Or did you try calling her?
I did not try calling her, no. So the notion will be to postpone for an additional meeting and then sending communication other than email.
Well, let me move this meeting along, and I'll agree with Connie that I would like to tentatively say okay, and then if there's if we need to choose among other things that we like better, then this might not make that cut. But-
Can you put a question mark on that? Yes.
Yeah.
Connie, thanks.
I'm gonna put the funding in just so we have
Yep.
it, but
Yes.
under final funding, but if we need to.
Okay. Okay. Oh, come back. Portrayal of a historical figure. 101266. Yes or no to that?
Do we know about the attendance of the scary stories at the Williamsville Chapel?
I thought I heard it was well attended.
It was well attended.
I thought it was. Were you there?
No, my wife was.
Okay.
She said it was well attended.
Okay. then
It's
that's
not
the-
one or two
Good,
folks
then
showing
that's-
up and, you know,
Excellent.
yeah,
Then yeah, I like that idea.
yeah.
Can't really reduce the funding for that because it's like external performance.
Well, we've already reduced it based on what
Right.
her
Yeah.
stated invoices would be.
We asked them about.
Bands typically are between $600 and $800. A lot of these single or dual person venues are typically between $400 and $600. So I think that's still in line with, you know. So we're ready. Mass Capera Cultural Center.
I vote
Full-
yes.
oh,
It's
I'm sorry.
super interesting.
The description and the okay, yeah, okay. That was for $300, right?
Yeah, I vote yes. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
Absolutely, yep. I'm gonna say yes to that as well. And
And just
I'm sorry.
keep in mind though, we still have to knock
Yeah,
out,
we need to cut.
knock out
somewhere.
like $2,300. So
Yep.
Yeah, there are a few in there. I think we can. How much do we have to knock down?
I have to knock down
Almost $2,000.
2302.
Okay.
minus
Right.
It's one
Write that
three.
down.
But I have 8425 is our total right now, right? 2 to 313, 8425. I thought it was more than 2,000, but I think something, I don't know if anything happened down here, but equals 8425 minus 6573, 1852.
Okay.
Is
Yep.
what we need. I see the obvious one to knock out,
So the next one, Park Celebration. I'm sorry.
but as I see the obvious one to knock out, but
Yeah, we'll get, yeah. There are a few in there that I think we can, yeah. Parks and Celebration, this is the all-day, bring them some bands, have a cool venue with food, celebration, families in town, basically, right? Originally it was, I think it was what, $5,000?
Yes.
We cut it down to $2,000, that eliminated the food trucks and some other fees, and, I'm sorry?
Oh, we can't stipulate that you can't do the food trucks. We can just say, here's $2,000.
Correct.
Good luck.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
we
So
can't afford 5,000. So
exactly.
we're
Thank
saying
you.
2,000. So they can fundraise for more.
Yep. We'll actually we'll talk about that with one of the other articles about fundraising as well when we get there.
I would vote for the 2,000.
Yes.
Just because it's
Yeah.
a town thing, it's Hubbardston focused. It's
Yeah, I
the
agree.
Hubbardston committee
And we've-
that's asking for the money. So
I
I've
will-
already knocked 3/5 of the
Yeah.
budget out.
I'll also third that because the survey overwhelmingly pointed to we want band concerts, we want entertainment on the common. There was quite a bit of folks that did. That was actually one of the outliers on the survey.
Okay. Yes.
So yes to this.
Yes. All right, we're ready for the next one.
Yes.
The owl pellet dissection.
What happened to Henry the Juggler?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Anyway, my other glass bifocals. Henry the Juggler performance. $450.
He consistently kills it.
He kills it every time. He's has plenty of venues that he can pick and choose from. He's actually showed, I think, 3 times this year I saw him. 2 or 3 times. One through Katie Young.
I like it. I vote yes.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Can you put a dollar sign next to that? Yes, please. And we'll move on to the next one. We have to come back to that, or trim something.
Go, Harry. Henry?
Yeah. In previous years, he actually has received less than that.
Yeah, I think he got 300 last year.
Yeah. So if push comes to shove, you know, I would hate to do that, but if we had to, you know, I don't want to say no, but also, you know. All right. So the owl palette dissection, that's a yes for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only caveat with that, I think that's for the school, correct?
It's for schools for our 3rd grade
Yeah.
class. So, very specific audience.
Yep.
But it comes a lot of money, and I think it's an interesting project.
Yep.
And they've raised a lot of other money, so this is just
Yes.
a little bit extra just to kind of put them over the
Push
finish
them over the
line.
top.
Yep. Halloween Children's Parade, that's a yes from me.
Yep.
We attended that for many, many years, and I see the value in that one. And the next one, this is the big one. Outdoor Sculptures, You Are Here.
John Porcino to life.
I'm sorry?
102,
You skipped
640.
one.
You skipped
Oh, I
one.
skipped one? Again? I'm
Which one did you
sorry.
skip?
102-640, John Porcino to life.
Oh, we have him as a.
I don't see that on here.
He's in my no column.
Here's
I have him as yes with $450.
I don't
you
see him
Yes.
in Connie's.
Okay, well, let me just fix that. 'Cause that might explain why I thought the money was a little bit off
Okay,
earlier. So,
there's our.
so that's 450.
Yes.
450, yes.
But I think he says something in his application about if he got less funding, he could work. I wrote adjustment.
So it was. Okay, let me just go how much there then. And it's so awful if I don't have a real mouse.
I have one if you want to.
Yeah, I
To
hate
work
that.
from, I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
You want to take a minute? I can get your paired up with one.
I'll make it through. To life celebration and story and song.
He writes in his application, if partial funding is necessary, I will do my best to find a venue that will match part or all of what remains. Depending on the amount, I will likely go forward with the program anyway, or the funds will be returned to the council coffers with gratitude.
So I would say yes, but put a dollar amount next to that yes, so we know. That's my proposal.
What would you like to grant?
Do you want to just put a yes by it and then like see where we end up with the rest of the?
Yeah,
ones
that's why I
and
said
then
put
figure
a
out
dollar sitting next to the yes, so that we know that's
those
one of
ones
our.
are on the-
Yeah. He's pretty much going to be in line with Dennis Cormier, Henry the Juggler, venues like that in terms of price range, right?
So to be fair, if you reduce one, reduce them all.
Yeah, I'm trying to mark things so we know, the other thing is we can just say no, flat out no to one of them, right? And not, when it comes time, right? But I like that in some of these applications they said I'm willing to work with the dollar amount now.
I just don't want a nickel and dime.
Yeah, that's very important. Okay. So anything else on the To Life?
Nope.
Outdoor Sculptures, You Are Here. So this is a full-on project. If you've noticed from the email I sent out before, I asked 4 basic questions to Massachusetts Cultural Council. Does the project have to be completed by the grant year 2025? No, it does not. We can grant an extension, an extension for as long as we need to complete the project, as long as they're not in violation of the MCC's local policies. If they violate those policies, then we cancel it and we encumber the money. So that's not going to be a problem. Does payment need to be made to the application in 2025? No. The payment is tied to the completion of the project and the application. So when we say we're done and they submit the form and we pay them a check, that's when it's finalized. Does the LCC have to be the project manager for this project? Or can the town select board or communities oversee it through? The answer is yes, the town can see it through. There's two avenues to do this. We either invoke our 20% rule and we take the money through the 20% clause, we fill out a form and we manage the project. Or we go to the town, we send a charge to the town select board, and the charge will basically call to form their own committee to oversee the project. At that point, the LCC, us, HCC, will become only the proxy, or sorry, the person to, how to say this, our duties, right, to make sure that the project is completed, and then we process the reimbursement form. We do not, as the LCC, get involved with the project itself. Now that then brings in the next question. Can we be members of that committee or subcommittee? Yes, we can. That being in mind, we will have to take into account the conflict of interest laws when we do that. So if the select board does execute the charge, and they form the committee, right, and we put our hats in for appointment, right, we then have to then go back and review our conflict of interest laws and make sure that we're not, for instance, we're not business partners with any of the contractors. So, like, part of the project will be for us to do the base, right? So we can't be business partners. We can have family members of the ones that be doing the actual work. Fundraising, we can fundraise for ourselves. There's nothing that says we can't. But the money does have to go into the same account as the funds that comes from the state. But we have to track that as well. Any money that is not used becomes unencumbered and then rolls over to the next program year. So the money has to be put in for a very specific reason. It has to come out for a very specific reason. Otherwise, it gets rolled over unused to the next program year. Let's see. Oh, there's a fourth question here. The application will not cover the cost of the base of the monument. Can the LCC? Yes. So the reason part. So procurement of that money can be done however we see fit, basically, or the committee. So that's up to us and what the charge says. I've also written a draft of the charge, and I've been in contact with the town administrator. There'll be another version of that draft, because I was way off mark. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I'll submit I'll do another version of the draft. I'll submit to everybody here, if we say yes to this, of course. For your approval, you'll all say yes. Otherwise, we'll go back and we'll change it up. It'll then go to the select board, and then they will approve or disapprove of that charge, at which point it'll be executed. The next meeting is on December 2nd. I also talked to the town administrator. The charge can run in parallel to, as you know, our declines and our approvals get pushed out, right? So the declines go first. We have to wait 15 days for the approvals, and then, right, and then everything happens, right, at the beginning of the next year. This charge can be executed alongside, in parallel to, and not bound to that application approval process, if that makes sense. So while the committee is being formed, subcommittee is being formed, we can still be going through the decline or approval process. We don't have to finalize that.
Did you talk to the select board about the siting of this sculpture? And if they agree that it is a good idea to erect a public monument in town? Or was the conversation all about money and putting it in?
So before this conversation with the town admin I submitted the application. I submitted your document for the steps. With if you want, I can show the email to everybody that I submitted to both of them. The message was, please give us guidance on how to proceed forward. And I get back an email back, and actually, it's a good point. I should probably forward that all to you now, because it was very clear-cut and concise in Nate's response. So let me find that. I'll give that to everybody now.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Do we know how many other towns who are participating in this?
I don't know the count. I know of other towns that have. I know some of their responses. I don't want to say anything. I will say that the responses are based off of local priorities,
So-
not violations from the NCC.
Sure.
Okay.
I guess for me, my thought process on this is,
Yep.
like, are we going to be the only town in Hubbardston that has a "You Are Here" sign? And that kind of defeats the purpose of the goal of the project, right?
No, I don't have a sampling to be able to answer that
So-
question.
and that would just be, you
The
know,
two other
you know,
towns I know that have said that they've received it and they have made their determination on it. Based on the content of the project, I will assume that it went to all towns in Massachusetts as a blanket for all LCCs. Yeah.
Just-
I mean, I can find that out if you guys want.
No, I definitely agree. That's a good point. My other question is, to everybody else's point, where is it going to go?
Yeah, and that will be the responsibility of, so this is the beauty of it, right? We here now do not have to determine that. So please understand there will be a risk with this. We talked about this last meeting. There will be a risk. I can't tell
And that's
you.
what I don't like about it.
Right. I can't tell you what the risk will be. I can tell you the points of failure where it might happen. The charge might be declined. They may form the committee, and the committee, as your steps have pointed out, the committee will say we need to do public input. The public may say no, we don't want this, and it shuts down. Right. There's at least 3 or 4 points I can think of based on your steps where it might fail. I would think of it this way.
I mean, it means more money for us next year, but it means that someone or more than one someone is going to miss out on funding.
Correct. That was my point last meeting. Is there is a risk that money will not be used for this project, and then so think of it this way, right? If we do say yes, and the project move forward, the project is likely going to take more than 6 months to do. We all agree on that, right? It's a huge moving target, viable, but it's moving target, right?
Yeah, I would say I love this project. However, with all of the questions and not knowing where it's going to be sited and not knowing if people will like it, I think that doesn't make sense to fund something that doesn't have prior approval.
Okay. I have received some anecdotal feedback from folks who have seen this in the staffers, and it has been positive. But there's been no, I think this is a great idea, we should go through it type of response. Very positive remarks. I have not heard any negative feedback from it so far. To your point is the unknown. That's the risk factor with it.
Yeah. For how much unanswered questions we have at this point, I don't see
And
spending the money.
given the conservative nature of the town, I can imagine a public arts project would be, who decided on this shape of sculpture? This isn't art, my kid could do that. Am I paying for this out of my taxes? Why didn't I know about this? Blah, blah, blah.
For me, it would be, I would like to pass on it this year, and if we see that it's taking off throughout the state, and that like a lot of towns are doing it, and that we want to be a part of
Look
it,
at it next year.
then maybe ask them to reapply next year.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
like for me, it's just I just don't want to be like one of 3 towns in the state that has it. You know, because it's just not going to do anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't know how public works projects work when you are doing multiple municipalities. The ones that I know about are, let's say in a town, we'll have those white sculptures that the artists all paint and customize, but it's all within the same town.
Yeah.
And we, like I've mentioned in the past, we did the monument, Vietnam Veterans Monument, and that was a big undertaking, but it was one monument in one town, so it was we could track we could trace its progress through town government and approval process. But this is a statewide initiative with a lot of unknowns.
There's a lot of unknowns. I will counter to this also say, if you look at the dollar amount and what it will cost to do, this is very
Cheap.
very cheap compared to dropping a granite memorial.
Oh, yeah.
For the Vietnam or something like that. Right? It's much lower financial input.
So our statue for our town would be 2 foot tall and 5 inches deep. I just think that's a little small. This is,
I think unless it's very, very well placed, people are gonna drive by. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
for the space we have, it's gonna look really small.
This is something I could trip on then.
This is something the plow could cover
But
up.
the snow is gonna cover it up.
Or
in winter.
take out without realizing
It's
it's
also
in the wrong spot.
20% of our funding.
Yeah.
That dollar amount is 20%?
Yes, it's 20.3%.
So whether we go with the 20% our way or approving the grant, the application is still 20%. So we can go the other route of doing 20% and doing it ourselves, or
But it
we
still
can
comes
say,
out of the 6573, so
Okay.
6573 is 20% of the 6573 that we have for funding, so.
Okay.
So 1/5.
well, that makes it
our
easy then,
budget.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, so-
I think we're starting to all agree this is probably something. This dollar amount could be passed on. I didn't realize the size when you said that. I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
I'm
like,
looking at their budget.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
2 feet tall.
that's shorter than this chair, and yeah.
Yeah, it's actually where that seat is.
Yeah.
Bigger towns get bigger statues
The more you pay, the
'Cause they-
more it looks
and
good.
different budgets. You know, they ask for more from like
Yeah,
Cambridge.
that is a diminutive public work of art. They're usually more monumental.
Yeah.
And like you said,
All right.
you know, conservative nature of the town, and we have all these nice memorials across the street, and then there's this little like
What's this
we are
modern
here,
art hippie
QR
stuff?
code.
So do I have a notion to say no because of the dollar amount?
Yes.
And the size of the statue?
Yes.
Second?
Second,
Third?
Third,
All right.
fourth,
Fourth? Yeah. So just so we're aware, simple majority, 5 active members. We only need 3 to meet a quorum. So if we do hold a meeting and somebody gets sick and they can't make it, we can technically still proceed if we wanted to.
Thank you for doing all the work to look into
Thank
the
you for
possibility.
No worries, no
of
worries.
that was,
I've learned a
A lot of
lot,
work.
especially through this application. I've learned a lot about government in the process. That the bylaws, some of the bylaws don't explain some of the parts of it. It was contacting the town admin, contacting Boston, right? Yeah. All right.
We'll talk about our feelings about government later. All right, so that puts 1335 back.
yep.
Back
So
in the
so right
bucket.
now, we're currently at $5,390, so we have about another 1,000 or so to
Okay.
I will say, anecdotally speaking, that the more I get into government, the more I realize I knew nothing about government. Or from an outside looking in, you know, it's a different picture. But when you get involved, it just opens up. It's like, wow, you know. All right, so moving on. Uniquely Quabbin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have a 5.
Yes.
All right.
Can we go down and do Wichenden first before we go back to the Blues
Yes,
Brothers?
that's
Okay.
the 2 down, the $100 one.
88158.
88158.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
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 So we are currently at 5,740.
Almost there.
573 minus 5,742. So we have $833 left to spend.
Okay.
Doesn't look good for the Blues Brothers.
So the only one left is the Blues Brothers, then, correct?
Yes.
And then we have 3 question marks beside revitalization of the Hubbardston art thing.
That's on aging.
Henry the Juggler and outdoor, no, not outdoor, to
Yeah.
life.
So this is the tough part. We can either play with the money, or we say no to one of them to make up that difference. Or so we either replace the Blues Brothers with someone else that was towards the top of the no list, right? Or we play some magic with the numbers, right?
Or if we say no to the Blues Brothers,
Yep.
look at possibly giving whatever the remainder is to that field the music event.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Jesse.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say no to Blues Brothers because we have a big music festival that we're funding. We have other musicians that we are funding.
Yeah, as cool as it sounds, we'd only be able to give them a little less than half what they're asking
Yeah.
to begin with. And is that even enough for them to say they'll show up? Or will that end up being re-encumbered back into our bucket next year because they cancel?
Yeah, if the price is lower for me, I wouldn't mind trying to squeeze them in on under budget.
Yeah.
The price tag for them seems higher than most performance venues that we've had.
Well, it's a 10-piece band, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 people, yeah. And I'm sure it would be a phenomenal, you know.
Well, if they're willing to do a 5-piece band, we can give them $870 and change or whatever. We'll call it a day.
Was this an
I mean-
indoor or outdoor venue? Did they specify what they were targeting? Or?
They had it
They said-
specified.
Okay.
No, it just says Fall Fest or specified venue.
Okay. But they didn't specify the venue.
They
Okay.
did not.
So that's also one of our local priorities, local venue
Is having
determination.
venue.
Yes.
Right, they had
Determined.
worked
Yes.
that out, yeah.
So the, sorry, the name escapes me here. The Park Celebration one has a venue chosen for it already, whereas the Blues Brothers, they would still have to figure that out.
Okay. All right.
So do I have a notion to remove Blues Brothers from the, or deprioritize them from the list?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
A third?
third, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I'll third it. You did second.
No, that's fine.
I called it, she first,
no,
you second,
you
I
want to be
third.
higher on the list than me, that's
No,
fine.
sorry.
Sorry,
Okay.
Jake, sorry,
Right.
Elwood.
All right, so there's 800 and, let me just confirm that.
So now we want to ask the question, do we want to put that money back into something that we trimmed? Or we want to bring somebody else in? Like we value the Park Celebration at 2,000. This is the value we think that your venue, right, $2,000 would be sufficient to do your venue is what we said for Park Celebration. Do you think that that still stands, or we want to put money back into that?
Or you can go back down to the bottom of the list and there's something down
Correct,
here
and pull something else in.
we want to pull in.
So we said 800 and what? Is left?
833.
Yes.
833.
Historically speaking, it has cost between $600 and $700 for a band to come to that gazebo, and they typically play 2 to 3 hours a piece. So if she wants to do a full day event, you're looking at three bands, right? So that's going to be what, $1,800.
Yep. What else was she planning to do besides?
We can
I mean,
pull-
I know we said food trucks and other stuff, but I don't remember the.
crafts.
Like arts and crafts.
Yes, but you made a point earlier to me about it's not our.
We can't allocate the
Yes.
money for specific purchases to make this
Right.
event happen.
So
Right, I'm just trying to take into consideration
So-
the overall picture of, are we just, are we giving them enough money
right. So
to just do one thing?
my question a minute ago, is $2,000 sufficient for her to put on a full day event? Do we feel that $2,000 is enough to put on a full day event with bands?
Absolutely not.
No,
That's the question.
that's why I suggested we
Yes.
possibly look at adding our remainder.
Yes. So would moving 800 back into that pool, back into that particular application, get her close to that, to what we feel is sufficient?
Gets her quite a bit closer, I would say.
Okay.
I would be comfortable going that route. Especially because it is so Hubbardston centric.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we wouldn't have to cut other people. We could still continue. Like we don't have to cut Henry the Juggler or
Right.
To
Leave
like-
everybody at their funding that they
People at their
asked
funding.
for.
So we're still though at 700 for 88792, Hubbardston Council
Yes.
on Aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make a notion to move 800 and what was the dollar amount again?
833.
$833 back into Park Celebration That would be 100,129.
I will second that.
Bringing it back up to 2,800 and
$33.
yes, $33. Have a second on that.
I will second that. Yes.
Third,
Third,
fourth, fifth. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We're
Again,
rock stars.
we got this. Do you want me to read down the amounts just to make sure everyone?
yes, please.
Yes,
Board.
I'm gonna write them in on today's sheet. Just so we
Okay,
know.
so, 104,392, for the extra year, 150. 88,792, revitalization, 700. 101,266, portrayal of a historical figure is $660. 100,622, mass,
Capoeira.
capoeira, so good, $300. 100,129, park celebration, 2,833.
I thought it
95764,
was 32.
and it's 33. 95764, Henry the Juggler, 450. 95794, Al Pellet Dissection, 180. 94663, Halloween Children's Parade. Did I miss something?
It's just these sheets didn't have everything on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the other side's missing, so
Okay. 94663, Halloween Children's Parade is 500. 102640, To Life Celebrations and Story, 450. 90687, Uniquely Quabbin, 250. 88158, Winchendon Winds 2025 concert, 100.
excellent.
Yep. Can you do me a favor? Make a copy. Click on the menu and make copy of. And having the singularity makes me nervous, especially if we can't go back to a previous
Final
version,
copy
right?
of applications 2025.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys.
So my data,
Puts a spreadsheet
I never
on a
throw away
floppy
data.
disk
I
and
got
puts
hard
one
drives
copy
and
in each
stuff.
one of his desk drawers. So he
It's like a
always has it.
squirrel.
I've got hard drives full of stuff that I never delete.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So money is expended.
Okay. So the next order of business will be to discuss when. So what happens now is we send out the rejections. The Smart Simply Portal will do that for us. The state will send out the notifications to the applicants themselves for us on our behalf. We have to do no legwork except for select the drop down and click a button for each of the ones that we said no to. We then have to wait 15 days for a response for them to, if they wish to respond in kind for the decision, then they can for 15 days. They have that opportunity. If somebody does submit something to us, we'll have to answer, which means we will have to reconvene the council basically to discuss and make a ruling on it. In the 4 years I've done this now, we've not seen that. But not to say it couldn't happen, right? So the next question, I guess, is when do we send out those rejection letters? Traditionally, we've done it towards the end of the year, like late December. And then that puts us in right close next to January. I think it was 15 or 16 is whenever that deadline is, right? For those responses.
Is there any disadvantage to sending them out sooner?
I was just gonna ask that.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. That's a perfect question.
So there's an advantage to doing it sooner than later. So it's, let's say I do we do the rejections on the 28th, and we wait those 2 weeks or 15 days. Sorry, that's going to push us into the new year. We're going to have to scramble. Like all of us are going to have to drop what we're doing, and carve out time to meet basically to answer to that rejection. Basically,
Well, I thought we do it sooner rather than later.
we do it sooner now. That means we have time to plan on it. If something does happen, we can plan on the calendar. Right.
Now, when we reject, does the system require us to give a reason, or is it just?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a drop down, And there were no disqualifications that I knew of this year, correct? We went through everything. Everything
Correct.
qualified through the MCC
Yes.
local policies. It was a matter of local priorities.
Yes.
There was actually some options in there for the local priorities that we can select,
Good.
you know, to satisfy that.
Yeah, I think everything was local priorities.
Yeah. Yeah, the local priorities is nice because it allows us to move stuff around in confidence without having to worry. You know, a very objective process, right? Because we've clearly defined what we're looking for, right? And we follow that.
Yeah, I would think it would be in our best interest to get the rejection letters out
Okay.
sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Would you wait until after Thanksgiving, or is this something we want to just? Because I don't know if national holidays and stuff play into the 15 days.
We could technically do it tonight when we go home. And we've all agreed on the dollar amount and the final list. So technically, we shoot them out tonight if we want. There are other coaching councils that I know that have already done their rejections, and now they're in that waiting period, you know, for response.
Just gives us more time to respond if we have to.
Correct.
So I think that's our best interest.
Yeah.
Whether it's tonight or not. But
There were only a few things in here that we had to discuss heavily on and you know, whatnot. So, you know, with confidence, I don't think we're going to have too much of a problem with that. Right. So we can do that. Do we have a date that we want to do it, or
So when you say we, you mean we're all going to get together and do it together?
no? It'll be myself or Connie probably. We're the admins, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So myself or Connie will do it. The next, so let's agree on a date when we do that. If we'd be tonight or tomorrow. It's really just check boxes, drop downs, clicking a button type of thing. And it doesn't matter calendar-wise when Connie or I do it.
Before Thanksgiving, that would be ideal for me.
And Thanksgiving is on the 28th, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's already almost 8:30. I don't want you guys to have to leave here, go home, and then start
Yeah.
plugging away at it. So
I'm gonna recommend the 26th. If I do it, the 26th in the evening is best for me.
Yeah.
I've got
Sounds
no
great.
family activities. I can sit down and fully commit to it. Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's easy. The other, I'm getting to the next part here. You'll see. All right, so I'll put down declines for myself. We don't need to send a message to Flo for the parade, correct? That's out. We've already decided on that.
Correct.
Right.
We need Flo to submit her reimbursement.
Oh, that's what that was. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Sorry, reimburse.
Yeah.
It was not the voting.
Because that's the last outstanding one that we have.
Thank goodness you guys are here to keep me in line.
There's no I in team, Jonathan. There really isn't.
There's no I in team, right?
That's right.
All right. So I'll take care of those two action items. I'll get the communication for reimbursement. I'll take care of the declines. The next order of business is the acceptance letters. So the acceptance part will happen 15 days later after the rejection. That is a manual process. We are responsible for doing that. Since I've been here for 4 years, this is the 4th year I've done this. We've always done email. They used to in past years, 10 years ago,
Send letters.
snail mail. Yes, exactly. I don't think any of us want to go back to that. You were the one that generated the mail merge for me last year.
Yes.
So what I'm looking for is your help on this. If anyone can help with this, that'd be great. Pretty much it's going to be an export from the list. And then I myself or Laura or you and I or you or I do it. If you've never done a mail merge before, you pull in this Excel file which represents that export from the list. It merges all the information in. We can pretty much use the template that we already have. If we want to review the template tonight and just go through the content of that actually would be preferred. And somebody has to sit there with their email address and shoot out each acceptance with the appropriate attachments. And if I don't do it, I can show you, whoever it is doing the template and what documents to include in it. The email will include the reimbursement form. It'll include links to the policies. It'll also give information towards field day as well as what's the other?
Field Day and Hubbardston Celebration
Yes,
in June.
as possible venues. So we say if you've not chosen a venue, please contact these people for possible scheduling. Right?
This year we could give them the field day too.
Correct. Yeah. We can also add the library and whoever we think might benefit from that.
So this is a manual emailing. It's not through.
It's a
this.
manual email. So last time I did it, I sat there on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I had 15 tabs open. Click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Send, 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 send.
Do you want me to read the body of the acceptance letter?
Yes.
All right. Congratulations! You've been awarded a grant by the Hubbardston Cultural Council. Please see the attached letter for details. I'm also attaching the reimbursement form and guidelines for credit and publicity. If it's easier for you, click the following links to access these items online. Link to the Local Cultural Council Credit and Publicity Kit, Mass Cultural Council. Link to the Local Cultural Council Program Reimbursement Form. Again, congratulations for being awarded an HCC grant. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Jonathan Breaker, Chair, Hubbardston Cultural Council.
So that's the email.
Yep.
The letter I have a template for, and that's where you're going to do the mail merge, basically.
Yeah, I can do that since I have all the stuff from last year.
Okay. So mail merge, Laura.
Yep.
And if you guys want, I can forward on one of the ones from last year so you can see.
So actually,
Yep.
let me back up. What I read was the email.
Correct.
I'm sorry, that was just the email
Yep.
note they get. The letter is more detailed.
I can
And
actually
that's sent
forward.
as an attachment.
I can actually forward you guys
Yes.
one right now if you want to see it, what it looks like. But it gives all that information.
You need to hook up to the screen and just
Sorry?
display it.
Last year I did have, yeah. I thought about that.
You want to see it? I have it right here.
Yeah. So do we want to discuss that now and just throw our 2 cents in with that?
May as well. And
Yeah.
this year I can print them out without the dates because I remember they actually were sent out a lot later than the date on the letter.
Yeah. Oh look, Google put. It suggested people to put into the.
Aww.
Not to do anything, right?
That looks good.
So all of those things where it's specific to the applicant is a mail merge from that spreadsheet.
Okay, so the
dollar
mail
amount-
merge puts all the specifics.
Yes.
into
Yes.
one.
Yes.
So I'm not typing, "Dear Joyce, how are you? I am fine," blah, blah, blah. It just pulls it right in.
No, I was just thinking in the back of my mind, is there a way after the mail merge stuff is done, is there a way that we could maybe automate the sending of all the emails so somebody doesn't have to have 15 tabs open?
No,
They could run a
because
script that says,
each
These
mail
attachments.
each email contains a different attachment.
Yeah.
Each
oh, I
letter is
see.
specific
Oh,
to the
okay.
person.
You know, that's right.
So-
But
That's
it's
I
not
just sent you-
5,000 of them. It's
So I just sent you an email in your Gmail. If you open that up, you'll actually see the content of the letter itself. There is some updating we'll have to do to it because I believe Katie is called out in this directly.
There it is.
Yes. So one of the things we'll have to do, Laura, is figure out the new contact information for the fair and field day. Sorry, the fair, not field day. Field day is still the Lions Club,
It's
and
still
then
Joyce, yeah.
and Joyce still. We'll probably want to confirm this, but Joyce does answer from that email address. So, but I don't know if she's still the one in charge of scheduling out field
Gotcha.
day.
Gotcha.
So Katie Young is not doing the
No.
fair anymore.
No, she's passed that touch horn, I think, onto the park celebration.
So that's, I'm going to, I guess, this is not really relevant for me
Yep.
to this particular, so you're saying the Hubbardston Fair won't happen anymore. I was thinking that Parks thing was in addition to the Hubbardston Fair.
Yeah.
The fair might happen. I don't know.
Okay.
Katie told me anecdotally through a conversation that she was passing off the reins to the parks folks.
Okay.
I don't have any information, so that's something we'll probably need to
So we're trying
confirm.
the Hub Fair,
Right.
the Park Day,
Yep.
Field Day.
And I don't know if the library wants to be on this list as well. We can certainly add and take off whatever we want from this letter. This is our letter. This is our, right? So every town has their own acceptance letter, right?
Yeah.
So we need to ask Jesse Alexander if there's going to be a fair and a park celebration.
Jesse Alexander?
That's the parks person named in the Parks and Rec
Okay,
Department
yeah.
application.
I can talk to Chris. I'll email Chris right now to see if she wants to be listed on there.
So you'll take care of Parks Communication.
Oh no, I'm emailing Chris Barbera.
Oh, Chris, okay. Oh, for the library, yes, okay.
Yes.
All right. I mean, I don't see why not, you know, having them as a venue, but it's not my space to say so. But I do see, you know, a benefit, right?
Yeah, we'll also need to update the
Yep.
names at the bottom of the thing. I see that Ed
Yeah.
Croner is still in there. so-
Yeah, so what I did last year is I copy and pasted the information from the mail merge over.
Gotcha.
And it was like 15 tabs, copy and paste, copy and paste.
So you're looking for somebody to send out the emails.
I can do it, somebody else can do it, you know, it probably should be me, because my email address is gonna be the one, yeah, I think I'll take on that task again. My goal is to set, well, I do have a Gmail account set up for, for Hubbardson Cultural Council. My goal, because we've already passed the form submission date for the year, my goal is to switch all the main contact information that's not the physical address over to this new Gmail account. In similar fashion to Hubbardson 250th we have there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've talked to town admin and I've also talked to Katie Young about all of this, and it is fine to do. You know. So with that, I would also be moving ownership of this document folder that we use all, you know, for our work over to that account as well. You know, so that, you know, I'm on my second term, first year, my second term, so 4 years. So I have 2 more years, and I have to go ex officio if I'm going to stay with the council, which means I need to pass it off to somebody else.
Stop looking at me.
It's not bad.
Is that the same with everybody's positions or
Yes.
just your position?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's weird is that the town position is staggered, and the dates are wrong in Smart Simply that are in there right now, just so you guys are aware. I need to contact the clerk and get the actual dates for our terms. So when you came in, you may not have come in on year 1 on your term. You may have come in on year 2 or 3 of someone else's term. Because the folks that were with me in previous years, they were all ex officios working under an emergency condition to stay in the council. They were like on year 8 or 10, right?
Yeah.
And we got permission from the state to continue.
Like Ed. And,
Yeah. So you like Bill and Donna, Lori, they were all ex officios, you know, working on extended years. So for most of here, we're on this weird offset. I don't know what those dates are yet. I'll get those. Through Massachusetts, though, from the MCC, we can do no more than 3 years per term, maximum of 2 years. So if you started offset on your term for the town, you still have to stop midway through the town's term if it's offset. If that makes sense. So you're not breaking the rule, you know, breaking the law or anything by leaving the town position early. It's because the state's requiring you to leave your position. Unless we're under an emergency order to continue the council, right? The
sounds like we
permission
need
of the state.
term reform.
Well, they do that because they don't want everybody terming out at the same time, and then you have this big gap in trying to rebuild a new council, right? That's why they do that. Sure.
So getting back to the approval letter,
Yeah.
do we want to fix it tonight so that we don't have to meet in order to do that?
It'd be advisable to get everything done we can tonight if we can.
All right.
We don't have to meet to finalize it. It can be passed around, we all say yes, and off we go. We've all made the decision for the acceptance list, and that's the part that we have to meet for.
All right. Well, there doesn't appear to be anything that's outdated. May I read it, and then we'll stop if we get to a point where we need to change everything?
Sure.
This won't take long. I'll read quickly. So, dear so-and-so, Hubbardston Cultural Council is pleased to inform you that your application for funding has received approval in the amount of merge to support your project mail merge. The American with Disabilities Act, ADA, requires that persons with disabilities have access to public programs or services on an equal basis with the rest of the general public. All events and programs funded by LCCs must be accessible to persons with disabilities, including the facility or event location, as well as the content of the program. Grants are made on a reimbursement basis only. Once your program has been completed, please send your completed form and documentation to Hubbardston Cultural Council, 7 Main Street, Unit 3, Hubbardston, Mass. 01452. I am going to stop right there. Do we want to accept any digital submissions of these forms, documentation and forms?
Yes, we do now.
Okay.
But we have in this year, 2024, we've received 2, I think.
And where would
I
they,
printed one out, I think, for you.
and where would they send them?
Send them to my email address.
Or you may email your form and documentation to,
jonathan.brinker@gmail.com. And I say that because remember we submitted that form in August with the local policies. That was the drop dead date for any changes on contact information, because then it gets published out to the public website on the state level.
So we can't make that.
I'm married. My email address is married to that process pretty much until the next cycle starts, which will be in the spring.
okay, so this new sentence is, once your program has been completed, please send your completed form
Okay.
and documentation to Hubbardston Cultural Council, 7 Main Street, Unit 3, Hubbardston, Mass. 01452, or you may email your form and documentation to jonathanbrinker@gmail.com.
Let me confirm before you do the mail merge, okay? I just want to double check all of that. I want to contact Boss and basically ask the question again.
If people can send electronic,
If I can change the contact information on the state
okay,
website.
I'll put that in red.
Yeah, that's the important part. What's on this website has to match that letter, basically. So if I can change it to that hub account that I created, then that'd be better.
Laura,
I'm sorry, yes?
you had his email at jonathan.brinker?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Just making sure.
You can do
Okay.
Jonathan plus Brinker if you want.
Good.
Sorry.
In addition to your reimbursement form, and there's a link to that, please include invoices, receipts, or paid bills, evidence that the event took place and was credited as promised, programs, news clippings, press releases, photos, programs, etc. Neglecting to include these items will delay your payment. Reimbursement will take approximately 1 month. You have 1 year from the date of this letter, so we do need to date this. So it needs to be dated, either predated for when you think that these will send out.
Let's wait till 15 days after rejections, and then we'll determine that date.
Okay.
Unless we want to set the date now.
Now, let's,
I'd rather leave it open-ended, depending on.
In case we get any
Yes.
kickbacks from the rejections.
Yes. And then also, since I'll be the one doing it, I want to make sure I have a weekend open to do it.
okay, so we do need to have a date, and I put date to be determined.
Yep.
You have 1 year from the date of this letter to submit a request for reimbursement. Failure to meet that deadline will result in the loss of funds. If you need additional time to complete your project, your request for an extension must be made in writing, explaining the need for additional time. Grant recipients also need the council's written permission to make changes to their projects. Project modifications must be requested in writing, and the modifications should not significantly alter the original purpose of the approved application. Extension and modification requests are reviewed on a case-by-case basis and are not automatically granted. You are required to acknowledge the financial support of the Hubbardston Cultural Council and Mass Cultural Council in published materials and announcements about your project. Please carefully review the credit and publicity requirements. There's a link to that. This credit is required by Mass Cultural Council, and failure to comply may jeopardize future funding. According to IRS guidelines, the grant money you receive is considered taxable income. Keep the award letter and check stub as a record of the award for your taxes. While this may be redundant, I need to stress the importance of your letting the HCC know when and where you will be conducting/performing your activity. As you know, you are required to promote the activity, but we want to assist in that effort. It also gives us the opportunity to attend so we can enjoy and evaluate. If you're choosing to conduct your project at a shared event, such as the Hubbardston Fair or Field Day, it is your responsibility to contact the promoters as well as HCC of your selection and plan. Hubbardston Fair and Field Day promoters have agreed to waive any setup fees since you'll be there on behalf of the HCC. Here are the pertinent details for each. Hubbardston Fair, June 2024. Contact Katie Young at her email. Hubbardston Field Day, September 2024. Contact Joyce Green at joyce.hublions@gmail.com. And I shall change that to 2025. So what, is there going to be a Hubbardston Fair now that Katie is no longer going to be leading it?
I don't know. That's what we gotta find out.
All right, so I'll highlight the entire passage.
I was told that the reins are being passed to the next person.
Okay. And Hubbardston Field Day, is Joyce Green still the main contact?
We'll need to confirm that, because that has changed in the past as well.
Okay.
She was in charge of 2024s,
Yes.
but I know in previous years she has stepped down on at least one occasion I can recall.
Okay. There were many worthwhile applications for funding, and only a select few were funded during this grant cycle. We wish you success and thank you for your efforts on behalf of our community. Please contact us if you have any questions. Sincerely, Jonathan Brinker, Chair, Laura Foley, Joseph Moisen, Zoe Morris, and Connie Strittmatter, members. Enclosures, reimbursement form, grantee, credit, and publicity and requirements. So it looks like we're waiting just for the date and the contact informations and whether or not the Hubbardston Fair will continue.
In the paragraph where it says you have 1 year from the date of this letter to submit a request for reimbursement,
Yes.
and then it goes on to say you can grant recipients also need the council's written permission to make changes to their projects.
Yep.
Do we need to include who they should where they should send that to, or is it like, do they email you, Jonathan? Do they?
It should be the email address that's on that.
So is it assumed that
So
Where else
how
would-
email
about,
address above?
so,
It's assumed that the mailing address and the email address we have in for reimbursements, that's where they would also send information.
We changed the language to
I'm sorry, I keep pressing caps lock and it's not caps lock, it's something
those
stupid.
Chromebooks, right?
A piece of garbage. I can't remember where I'm at.
She's going from Apple to PC.
Just go from Apple to Chromebook there.
Well, that's because the computer I was using was over 10 years old and it was just taking forever to boot up.
Right.
Chromebook follows the PC keyboard. Apple has its own keyboard. The keys are in slightly
Yeah.
different configurations, right?
Yeah, Carter uses a Chromebook for
I
school.
hated the Apple when I had it. No offense.
That's what I use that one.
Okay, so here's the new sentence. If you need additional time to complete your project, your request for an extension must be made in writing, explaining the need for additional time, and submitted to the HCC using the contact information above.
Perfect.
That's great.
And then when it says grant recipients also need the council's written permission, should we put in like a link or like grant council's written permission with an email address or something? Like should we somehow let them know like, how to contact the council?
It's assumed via the reimbursement. She just made the other reference to the same contact info, right?
Well, that was to us though, but it says you need the grant when they say the council's written permission, are you talking about Hubbardston Cultural Council or the Mass Cultural Council?
It comes to us.
So the
Well, let me-
I'll put the Hubbardston Cultural Council.
Yeah, we are with the exception of the rejections, we are the proctor for the grant money.
I just wanted,
So, you guys, you've seen the emails for the account linkage and all that stuff. At some point, actually, when we completed that form, the annual form with the dollar amounts, they then sent the money to the town for deposit. So we are officially in charge of that money, basically.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure, like, it was just unclear to me what council we were speaking of.
Let me
and how-
look at the original in there. I want to make sure that this letter, so you guys, where it predates me. Where on that paragraph was that?
In the second, like the third sentence.
After
I think it's fine.
I
think
just
it's like
wrote
also-
Hubbardston Cultural Council because,
Grant recipients also need the Hubbardston Cultural Council's written permission to make changes.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yep. So I said before, we can't change the applications, but we can change, during the rejection answering process, we can change the scope with them, right, if there is a problem. But it's us, it's our, right. We just can't change it during the voting process, right?
So, is it awkward to contact Jessie Alexander and ask her if there's still going to be a Hubbardston Fair
Nope.
before she knows that, like, we're funding her second celebration? You know?
She's also the host of the fair, correct? So I see no reason asking her that question. She's got that dual role.
Okay,
Dual.
As long as your question doesn't make it sound like
Well, if,
our funding is dependent on whether or not.
well, here's the thing. If she answers no, I don't have anything planned at the moment, or right, if it comes back where there's a strong possibility it will not happen, right? That's a different thing, right? When she needs the answer yes or no, right? We need to have a clear-cut path for that, right? Because it puts in jeopardy that money, right? We've awarded her money. She'll never be able to, with that venue, she'll never be able to work that money for her application, right? If it's at the field day. I'm sorry, I'm mixing the two. Sorry.
Right. We don't usually fund anything for the field day, I don't think.
we do it all the time. We just did the capoeira performance.
Oh, that's
and
field-
Julie-
Yeah, we feel. Yeah.
Right.
There-
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I
reduced
I
it
misspoke. I was
at
talking
the
about the
fair.
Hubbardston
I'm sorry, my-
That's
Fair.
where we did,
Yeah.
I think, as well. There was
Okay.
things at the fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so the
I think
lines.
what we need
Yeah.
to clarify is it Hubbardston Fair, Park Celebration, Field Day, or is it just
Or is Park Celebration the new name of the Hubbardston
Yes.
Fair?
Yes. I'm sorry.
That's what I think we need to figure out. Or is Parks Celebration replacing the concert series? Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, she has to provide the venue for that application, and that's why I want to make sure that she's aware that she has to do that, right? Otherwise, the voting yes was for nothing because she can't execute it right.
Excuse me. Past my bedtime again.
So who is going to track that down?
The field day,
Yes.
I can make that phone call if you want,
Okay, yes.
or if you want to do it, Zoe, or
No, I think you could
Okay,
have a
okay.
better handle
Right.
on what the questions for her are.
Okay.
I can, if you want, I can email Joyce Green and make sure she's the
yeah, if you don't mind
contact person
contacting
for
Joyce and confirm the contact information for for field day.
for the field day. Yes.
The language should be, we have potential applicants who will need a venue. Right. Is your yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll contact Parks about Hub Celebration.
And you're also following up on the use of the email for the contact information for the Hubbardston Cultural Council.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. You get that in the notes, right? Email Boston about contact info.
Yeah, and I've put a new note in the mail merge for 2024. It says, well, let me move that, I'll move the 2025 approval letter over to where it's supposed to be, so that way you'll know where to find it.
Okay. It's your procrastination that gets me right. So we're all set?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey!
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next year.
And meeting concludes at what time?
Sorry?
Meeting.
Oh, yes, I got a call,
adjourns
didn't I?
at-
Yeah, all right.
There you go.
Coastal Council is adjourning Tuesday, November 21st, 2024 at 8:49 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a good night.